Okay, so the only places I've ever been to in the past were the USA and Dominican Republic, or at least the ones I can fully remember as being outside of Canada, with the former being part of a family trip that I went on as a kid, and the latter being part of a mission trip for my old church. But if I were to go on a trip either by myself or even with friends in other parts of the world, that is, if World War III doesn't happen while we're abroad, I feel like these places outside of Canada would be the areas I'd like to visit the most before I die. When it comes to Asian countries, I choose Korea first because I am Korean myself and would like to visit some of the historic sites, shops, restaurants, and buildings since it would make for a neat way to get in touch with my roots, if you will. Considering how I only visited Korea as a baby, according to my parents, and the baby pictures I had in our family album, with Ecuador being another place I went to, I feel like visiting Korea would make for an interesting experience, even if I have no intention of staying there. Taiwan is another place I'd like to visit since it's seen as a safer option compared to China, and it certainly doesn't have the issues of the Communist Party causing trouble, and has a much healthier, if brighter, atmosphere that could be seen as welcoming. Japan is the third country I'd like to visit, and no, it's not because I'm a weeaboo or otaku, even if I do appreciate anime, manga, and video games, but it's because of the naturalistic atmosphere that Japan takes pride in, as well as the food and parts of its customs that have always intrigued me. The Philippines is the fourth country in Asia that I like to visit. That is, if I don't get caught in the weather conditions that happen there. Considering a lot of my friends are actually Filipino, and I have seen pictures and sights of how beautiful the forests, mountains, and cities are, it would make for an interesting case of cultural exploration for me. Italy is the fifth country I'd like to visit, mainly because its rich culture that is influenced by the Romans and mainly Catholic origins always intrigued me, along with the beautiful architecture and food is especially something I'd like to experience in places like Venice, Sicily, or even Rome. I mean, let's be honest, who wouldn't want to try legitimate Italian pasta? France is the sixth country I'd like to visit, considering I took French when I was in elementary and middle school, along with having learned about how French culture influenced other European countries and stories, especially when it came to classic fairy tales or even the Arthurian myths, even if those technically came from Welsh traditions, from what my teachers told me. Not to mention, I've wanted to see what the Eiffel Tower was like in person, along with the city of Paris and the countryside of France would be like. England is the seventh country I like to visit since it has that refined but also unique culture and architecture, with London and Bath being the places I want to visit due to having learned about their history from my university days, with Bath being mentioned and used by Jane Austen herself since I had to read her books for one of my English classes. Though, ironically, she was said to have disliked that place for being too boring from what I heard, but who knows. Ireland is the eighth country I'd like to visit since it's not only close to England in terms of geography due to them being in the UK, but it's also because the Celtic folklore, culture, and architecture has fascinated me, especially after watching all of Cartoon Saloon's Irish Folklore Trilogy movie series, which may have influenced my interest in Irish culture. Sweden is the ninth country I'd like to visit since it is said to be one of the more tourist-friendly countries and has a connection to Scandinavian folklore. Not just that, ABBA came from Sweden, so that has to mean something. Iceland is the 10th country I'd like to visit since I heard about its hot springs and the unique landscapes it has, so I wanted to try them out before I die. Also, considering its connection to Nordic and Scandinavian culture, I feel like it would be an immersive way to experience their history in person. The Netherlands is the 11th country I like to visit since one of my friends is from there, with Amsterdam being one of the places I like to go to due to its unique and peaceful atmosphere, with the rivers flowing nearby, making the scene very similar to Venice in a way. Belgium is the 12th country I like to visit due to hearing how it is one of the friendlier and sociable countries, and how it has delicious food, plus an interesting culture that blends French, German, and Flemish aspects together. Also, one of my friends actually went there a few years ago for international studies. Not to mention it has a cool diving pool called Nemo 33, which I want to try out since I like swimming. Plus, I heard the food is to die for in Belgium, according to people.